Hi, my name is Mandy, and I am a writer and a career coach. And I talk about how to bring more creativity and joy back into your life. In today's episode, we are going to talk about quiet confidence and how to get your mojo back. It almost seems like when we're younger, we're so carefree and we're so centered in ourselves. Like we could just run around and be whoever we truly were. We didn't have to mask at work. We didn't have to pretend to like things that we didn't like. We didn't get convinced into taking on jobs or stepping into roles that just didn't make sense for us. We could just be ourselves. So now when we look at life and we feel like, gosh, there's so much crud on me. Like I feel like I've accumulated so much residue all over my body and my being. Sometimes it can feel like, can I ever get back to that version? Like, can I ever just rewind and get back to the most pure, kind version of myself where I didn't constantly worry about what other people were thinking or constantly freak out about not fitting in or being perfect? So, there are 3 ideas that I want to share with you today on getting back to yourself, getting your mojo back. And we're going to take it one by one. The first idea is that to understand the nature of this path, to understand that the path to greatness is inherently a lonely one. Number 2 is to learn and practice being your own cheerleader. And number 3 is to only surround yourself with genuinely supportive people. Let's set the bar pretty high. So idea number 1, the path to greatness is lonely. Okay, so if you're watching this channel, most likely you want to do big things. You want to achieve greatness. You want to tap into your fullest creativity. You don't want to be left behind. And we struggle with this idea of having such grand aspirations for ourselves and also feeling like a total loser sometimes because you're like, I'm trying so hard, or sometimes I'm just completely unmotivated. But for the most part, I'm trying so hard and I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. So let me explain. If you want to have an extraordinary life, you have to do weird and extraordinary things. And for the most part, people are not going to understand that. And when people don't understand something, they tend to be very critical of it and they tend to judge it, which I'm sure you know nothing about. Just kidding. You know all about this because people judge you all the time. For the most part, people are trying to protect you. They don't want you to get hurt. They don't want you to get disappointed by life. And also more than that, people are very much self-centric. So when they hear an idea, when they hear about something that you want to do, they automatically filter it through their own lens and they think, is that something that I would do? Is that a risk that I am comfortable with? And for the most part, if they're not out there trying to create something big, trying to be creative, trying to build a business, whatever, right? If they're not out there trying to do that, they're automatically going to identify all of the things that are wrong with your assumptions, all of the reasons that you can fail. And so what happens is that puts us into a defensive position. We start to feel like, wait a second, hold on, I'm trying to go out here and do something for myself, and yet all I ever hear are the reasons why it's not going to succeed. Let me be very clear. This is about them and their fears. It has almost nothing to do with you. And you'll notice that it is mostly about them in the language that they use. Because the language of fear and the language of don't take that risk is usually generic. Meaning here are all these invisible monsters, generic monsters that could eat you. Okay, it's always about the terrible teeth of this generic monster. It's never about your unique sword. It's never about your unique ability to fight said monster. They're just describing the monsters. They're not thinking about your unique greatness. Which leads me to my next idea, number 2, which is that you need to learn to be your own cheerleader. What we need to develop or continue to develop is this sense of inner authority. We are so used to other people telling us if things are okay. Do you think it's okay if I do this? I just want to double check. I just don't want to step on anybody's toes. Can we just make sure? I don't want to mess up. I'm so sorry. We are constantly in this state of just trying to keep the peace and not rock the boat. We look to authority figures, our teachers, our professors, our parents, our older siblings, our older friends to tell us it's all going to be okay. We are always looking for that external pat on the head. And if you are an overachiever or a perfectionist, you know this very well. You often would get this validation in the form of a unique achievement, as in, oh my gosh, you are the youngest ever to get this award. Or, oh my gosh, we have never seen a prodigy do something the way that you've done it. Congratulations, you got an A+, you get a scholarship, you get to work in consulting, you get to work in banking. All of these prestige accomplishments help to build us up into being someone of worth. The problem is that we get hooked on that affirmation almost like a drug, in that if we step off of that ladder, if we crack the glass of that system, we lose the sense of who we are. And I don't say this lightly. I mean, literally, we lose ourselves. If all of a sudden we're not number one, or if all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I wasn't chosen for a promotion, or God forbid, I get some negative feedback at work, or God forbid, I apply for a job and I don't get it, right? The second that we are criticized, we don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to have a healthy relationship with rejection or even criticism for that matter. We don't know how to make a decision without the collective affirmation of every authority figure that we know saying, you're going to be okay. I approve of that. I think you're going to do great. The reason that we're never going to get that affirmation is the same reason that you're never going to have a healthy closure conversation with that one toxic ex. When we expect other people to congratulate us and to affirm us, we're actually giving away too much of our power. We're saying, here, you can press the button yes or no on my self-worth. You get to tell me, you get to judge me on my life and my decisions and my actions. That was never theirs to begin with. Why do they get a say? Like, do they even know you? I mean, really know you? Is this a mutual agreement? Like, did you both shake hands and say, okay, great, I'm going to judge you and affirm you, and you're going to judge me and affirm me? Usually it's just a one-way street where they have this power somehow. I don't know how they got it. They have this power to judge you, and then you just have to sit there looking up at them being like, yes, daddy. So we have to take some of that power back. But who do we give it to? I don't know how to make certain decisions, and I really don't want to mess up. I'm so scared of messing up. Remember that one time when I messed up and it took me 9 months to recover? Like, I don't know that I have the inner strength to go through that, except you do. You do, because you actually hold the power. It's your power. So we start by trusting our own intuition about small things. Like someone invites you to a party and you're like, I don't want to go to that party. Don't go. There's like 10 friends trying to pick where to go to dinner and you're like, I don't really want to go to dinner. I kind of want to just have like a cozy night at home. Just have a cozy night at home. You start choosing what you want to do. And over time, you build this muscle, this ability to say, yeah, there's a lot of noise out there. I'm sure everybody has an opinion, but I'm going to do what serves me best. So whether you're a homebody or whether you're super social, like you do you, obviously, but it's this idea of I'm not going to wait or just kind of be this expectant, perfect person who just waits for permission to live my life. Like, I'm going to be in the driver's seat, and I'm also going to be the person who affirms myself. Self-affirmation looks like giving yourself credit. It looks like being proud of yourself for what you've already accomplished. Because we're so harsh on ourselves, I swear, I think you forgot how amazing you are. Like, I think literally part of your brain has just like lobotomized and you forgot that you are the OG bad bitch, that you know the words to the song, and that you're writing your own freaking song. Idea number 3 is that we always want to support ourselves with genuinely happy, helpful people. Because of my coaching nature, I would often, like when I was younger, have a lot of friendships where I was always like the strong friend, or I was always the friend that people could come to with all of their relationship drama and work drama and problems. And I was like a great listener, and I would sit there and blah, blah, blah. I did this for years. Then a couple of years ago, I looked up and realized, I was like, wait a minute. They've never asked me about me and my life. And granted, I don't have as much drama, and that's because I'm just like more low key, right? But that doesn't mean that I'm not still going through it. That doesn't mean that I don't need check-ins and I don't need support, right? And so I started to realize there is a certain type of friend who I am also responsible for attracting, okay? Where I feel like I am taking care of them, where they can come to me and sort of trauma dump all of their problems. But you know what? When you're so busy holding the weight of everybody's problems in your arms, you're not going to be able to go and achieve the great things that you want to do. You're not going to be able to have space for your dreams because you're too busy taking care of everybody else. So I started to do these little experiments where I would be like, okay, this sounds evil. I don't mean it like that. So I started to get curious. And I started to wonder, okay, well, what happens when I bring an issue to the table? When I'm the one who now needs maybe a little support or a little encouragement from a friend? And I noticed very quickly that it usually fell into one of two camps. And one was they were there for me and they would reciprocate. And I'd be like, okay, this is a ride or die. Awesome. The other scenario would be like they just had a difficult time focusing on someone other than themselves. And that's not a true friend. That's just not a true friend. And I would rather have 3 real ride or die, like gonna go with me to the moon and back friends than have 50. I never had 50 anyway. But you know what I'm saying? It's like quality over quantity. And you also have to think about how you feel after interacting with these so-called friends. Like if you come home and you're exhausted and you're like, God, I just feel like I'm just going to like sit down for a minute because it was kind of draining. You know, if you feel that way, like they're probably not the right friend for you. You should come away from friendships feeling calm, feeling more centered, feeling maybe even a little energized. Because that's how you make people feel. That's what you do for other people. So why do we keep hanging out with people that are just like draining our energy? It doesn't make any sense. And listen, this is a very invisible, imperceptible thing, okay? You have to trust your gut. You have to trust your intuition on this. Sometimes you're going to be like, but it was like a perfectly fine lunch. But you know deep down, there's some weird ass vibes. And when there's weird ass vibes, like, I'm sorry, but it's a no. And it's probably not going to get better. We just feel bad because we're like, well, I don't want to be that person that just like cuts people out of my life. But you should. If they're not reciprocating and if they're not at least bringing you to a calm and mutually happy place, it's a no. So weird vibes are a no. And I'm going to actually expand this to say that actually as an artist and as a creative, this expands into your work life as well. So friends are like the golden tier, meaning like you have to be so selective because those are the people that you're giving your off hours to. Those are the people where you're like, okay, I'm in relaxation mode and now I'm choosing to engage thoughtfully and lovingly with these people. I mean, that's a short list. Okay. But then you have to think about the people that you interact with on a business level, right? So the people who are perhaps your clients or the people who are perhaps your colleagues or the people who are in the same program as you, in the same master's program, in the same, like the people that are just in your sphere, perhaps in a more tactical and professional way. When I'm telling you, you have to be so selective. You have to be even choosier than ever because you think, oh, I mean, I'm getting older. Like, I want to have more friends. It's always nice to make friends. I just want to make more friends. And like, you know, I'm in this master's program with them or I'm doing this, you know, class with them. And I just want to make friends. Like, why not? Maybe I could meet another best friend, and wouldn't that, we all want to be loved. We all want to feel supported, right? So it's in those situations where honestly you are a little bit vulnerable, because we all crave connection. We all crave community, especially if it's like, oh, we're just in this thing together. We're in this 90-day program together. We're in this 2-year program together. I want to make the most of it. Okay, we've all fallen victim to that trap. It's like, just because you're walking on the same path does not mean that you are besties, okay? There should be a high standard. And I'll tell you why it's okay to do this, because you are such a giver and you are such a good person. So it's like the privilege of being in your presence, the privilege of being, you're such a good friend. It has to be earned. It's not just like given to random people because you both just signed up for the same thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. So in conclusion, today's topic was about building that inner confidence, building that quiet confidence, and really leaning on your own inner authority to get your mojo back. This is not a dramatic action. There's not going to be some grand reveal or some big parade honoring your return to yourself. It's going to be quiet. It's going to be little steps, baby steps. It's a slow burn. So to recap, the 3 ideas that we've talked about today is 1, the path to greatness is just a little bit lonely. 2, you have to build that inner authority and you have to be your own biggest cheerleader and not expect the world to give that to you. Give that to yourself. And finally, please support yourself with genuinely nice, good people. Anyone who gives you weird vibes, it's a no. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I'm reading every comment. I'm obsessed with you. I love how people are like, I just discovered you. I'm binging. I'm like, yes, let's binge. So I am going to continue to create more content so that hopefully more people discover and more people binge. And I am just so grateful to you for being part of this and for watching. And I will see you guys soon. Bye.